All right, so welcome back. We've built this basic job tracking tool here where we can see different jobs and we have some very basic information. And now we're on to customers. So customers here, we want to think about this a little bit. What do we want to track for our customers? Well, do we want a drop-down list for our customers just like we had here? And then if we do have a drop-down list, do we really want to go up here and manage value lists every time we have a customer? Well, probably not. What we really want to do is we want to have customers as another table in our database. And so we can store a bunch of information about the customers, their phone numbers, address, different contacts, things like that. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's start with that. We'll link these together in a minute, but let's start with adding customers. So I'm going to go up to Manage Database again. And if I go to the Tables tab here, you can see all we have is the Jobs table. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, if I look at this, I think what's actually going to be faster for me is if I duplicate this table. So I'll just copy it and paste it here. And then I've got Jobs 2. And then I'm just going to change the name of this to Customers. Okay. And then the fields, save, yep. The fields here, see, I'm on the customers table. I need to get in here and start changing some of this stuff. So the primary key, we haven't talked much about that yet, but we're actually going to get into that. Customer primary key, and then we're not going to need a job number. We're not going to need artwork. I'm holding Shift, and I'm going to select most of this stuff now and delete. And now I'm kind of set up the way I kind of like things to be set up in FileMaker. I have my customer primary key. And now I'm going to create a new one here. Sorry, I've got to actually start typing a new creation. And so what do we need? We need company name. And I like to use the camel case with no spaces just to keep things well understood. So company name, we want phone number. We want, what else do we want? Email, address. So that's a good start. Maybe contact first name, contact. Now, one question you might have is, why don't we just put contact name here and I'll type in the first name and last name? Well, we absolutely could do that. But if ever we wanted to create like a mail merge or do something like that in the future, it is, and you just wanted to address them by their first name, or maybe you wanted to address them by salutation, Mr. Jones or something. It's a lot easier to combine two pieces of data than it is. I'll look over here because this is where you're at. It's a lot easier to combine two pieces of data than it is to try and figure out how to split them up. So we'd have to look for the space and then split them after the space. And there's a lot of things that we need to do that get complicated. What happens if you have a middle initial and a middle initial with a period in there because it's shortened? All kinds of stuff like that gets kind of crazy. So this way, if we can get our data in the most granular form, we're going to be able to do the most with it. So it's really, really easy to combine two pieces of data again. So to have this split up into two names like this, where if there's ever a chance that you would want to use just, the first name or just the last name, it's nice to have them split from the very beginning. So we'll set all that up. And then we need to actually, now that we've got this customers table, we need to actually create a relationship. So I'm going to go to the relationship tab here, and I'm going to go drag this over this way. And what we're doing is this customer field here, we want to tie this to this customer's, let's try this. Let's try this, the customer's name. And then, so all I did was I clicked and I dragged that there, and then you can double click on this and get into it with more detail. And then frankly, if sometimes, it's kind of difficult to get down to where you need to be if you have large tables with a lot of information in them, sometimes it's easiest to just connect two that don't even matter and then double click here and then scroll down and find. So if we want to do company name and customer, I want to change that. And so I set this to the company name in this table equals the customer name in this table. So don't worry if this doesn't quite make sense yet. We're gonna make this make more sense here in a second. So we have a customer's layout now, and we want that information. So I'm going to go here, and again, FileMaker has just kind of set this up for me. So I don't want that top navigation anymore. And this primary key isn't something that we're going to use on this layout. And this information, we're not going to use this either. So again, just deleting this stuff just like you would do in any graphic design program. And now I've got some basic information. Now for the labels here, I'm good with these labels having spaces in them because the labels don't actually affect the names of the fields. And that is a little easier to understand if we put the spaces in there. So we've got this customer information here, and we're going to put this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this up here. Okay, and I'll show you why in a little bit. But if we go to exit layout, save that. So let's put in, there's no records. Need to create a record. Let's put in some fake customers. So John's Pancake House. Okay. And then I'm going to create a new record, and we're going to say Jim's Bagels. Can't type today. So Jim B. Okay. And okay. No phone number there. Okay. So I've got that information. Now I can use this to go back and forth between jobs and customers. Okay. And this information needs to be tied together somehow. So I can type anything I want in here, but let me show you what happens if let me go to edit here, and then I am going to go to, I'm going to actually select a different table. See, it says under related tables, customers here, and I'm going to take the contact first name, and I'm going to put the contact first name here. Okay. Oops. Let's move this up a little bit so it lines up. There we go. Just like that. Okay. I'm going to save that and this layout here. Okay. So look at that. So that's interesting because if I go here and I just type in some random customer, so right, nothing comes up. Even if I go to the customers table and we've got Car Wash Express here, even if I go back to jobs and I change this to Car Wash E, nothing happens. But watch this. As soon as I type in Express, I click to commit that record, Kathy pops up. Well, why is that happening? Well, what's going on is through this relationship, I'm saying that the company name in the customers file equals the customer name. The company name in the customers table equals the customer name in the jobs table. And as soon as those equal, as soon as those are an exact match, then FileMaker ties those records together. It brings them, well, I don't know how else to explain it. It ties the records together. And so I can actually bring in all of that information from Car Wash Express as much as I wanted to display it here. And so I'm I'm going to actually leave this on here because this is useful to actually be able to see on the jobs table. And so now let's say we have Car Wash Express for, I just copied that. Let's say both of these jobs are for Car Wash Express. The artwork is similar. And you can see that immediately changed. Now, so I've got this here and this here. If I go to the customers table and I say, oh, shoot, it's not actually Kathy with a C, it's Kathy with a K, and I go back to the jobs, that's been updated. And it's been updated automatically because that is a that field is being viewed through that relationship. Okay, so this still isn't all that convenient because I could have somebody do that, or I could have somebody put in like this, and now it's not, oops, now it's not, for example, I could do that and it's not actually connecting. So just like with the statuses, we want to have like a firm grasp on who we're picking for our customer. We want to also have the customers selected here in a dropdown. So let's see if we can figure out how to do that. So if we go back here and we know that the customers, we're remembering how to do a dropdown from the previous video with statuses, we're going to kind of do the same thing. I'm going to go to a pop-up menu here, or let's go to a, let's actually do a drop-down list. Okay, these two things do very similar things, but, and then values from, well, it's not job statuses, so we're going to add another value list. Okay, I'm going to go to new, and this will be a value list for customers. Okay, and so rather than typing in all of our customer names here, we don't want to do that. We want to use values from field. And so I'm going to go to the customers field here, and I'm going to say company name. Okay, and then I could also actually display values from a second field. I don't want to do that, gets a little more complicated. I'm just right now, very simply, I'm going to use the company name, and maybe we'll sort them based on English. So it's going to sort the company names in order. Regardless of the order that I put them in, we're going to sort them, put them in order. So that's useful. I'm going to click OK here, and then click OK here. And you can see that customers is populated. So we want to show that arrow to make this easier. And in case we have long customer names, maybe let's make this the full width there. And then autocomplete using value list. That's pretty useful. Okay. And then let's try that. Let's see how that works. So exit that layout. Again, the cool thing about FileMaker, I'm just going to save it and test it. Look at that. Okay, so it's in there. So what happens if I, oh goodness, there's Jim's Bagels, or I can pick John's Pancake House. Now let's go back to the customer center here, and let's create a new record. And we're going to say, you know, Hannah's Bakery. First name, Hannah. And okay. And then let's go back to jobs, and then let's see, is that on the list? There it is, automatically on the list. So if I go here and I add customers, I can add all these customers. I can go back to jobs. I can add that there. So that's a very basic relationship, okay, with this information here. So the challenge is, remember we've been talking about these primary keys, okay? So how do the primary keys work? Or in other words, why, what are they for? Why do we even have that? So if I go back, this is what I'm talking about here, this customer primary key and the job primary key, right? So what if we have Car Wash Express selected here for that job, for both of these jobs have Car Wash Express. Let's change this job to Hannah's Bakery. Okay, Car Wash Express. Now let me go back to customers. Okay, and then let's say Hannah says, no, it's just Hannah Bakery for some reason. Okay, so we're going to change that customer's name. Now I'm going to go back to the job, and it's not connected anymore. See, this says Hannah's Bakery, but this doesn't match the customer's name exactly. And so you can tell that this one is connected to Kathy and Car Wash Express because that's still giving me her name. But this one is no longer connected. Now, if I select the drop down here and I pick Hannah Bakery again, now it's reconnected and all is well. But, let's say, we've been working with Hannah for, I don't know, 10 years, and she's got hundreds of jobs in the system. And, she wants us to keep track of them for her, and she changes her name. Well, you're going to go back through each job and you're going to fix this. That's ridiculous. And so that's where the primary keys come in. So let me show you how that works.